All right. Well, I'll tell you this. You know, we got a lot to complain about in terms of the destruction of the economy. But, well, something's happening in Europe, which is quite a bit different. Germany is going to be placing people who break quarantine into detainment camps, into either refugee camps or detention centers.
Anybody else got deja vu from that?
Yeah. Germany should be like the one place that like
where there's no camps,
Yeah,
nothing,
no,
not
no,
even
no.
summer
Yeah.
camps.
No day camps.
None. They need to wait until everyone else decides. No. At no point should we be setting up internment camps for things like this. When you get to the point where you're like, we're going to set up a relocation facility, like you got to stop and reflect on what it is you're doing. All right. Because what's really funny about the story, let me show you the story. This is from the Telegraph. Germans who keep refusing to quarantine could be put in detention centers under new COVID rules. In some German states where all other options have been tried, authorities to detain those who refuse to enter quarantine. So they mentioned there's a couple different states, like the eastern state of Saxony, where hospitals have been struggling to cope with one of the worst outbreaks. They have confirmed plans to hold quarantine breakers in a fenced-off section of a refugee camp.
What?
3 further states,
insane.
Baden-Württemberg, Brandenburg, and Schleswig-Holstein, I can't speak German, have also either already created such facilities or in the process of doing so, a report in Sunday's edition of Welt newspaper stated. In Baden-Württemberg, 2 hospitals will have rooms reserved for repeat offenders, which will be guarded by police. Brandenburg will use a section of a refugee center, while Schleswig-Holstein will use an area within a juvenile detention center. Well, we're at the point now where they're setting up the camps, but I got to stop for that because I started this by saying we got a lot to complain about, but over in Europe it's getting bad. Well, they're proposing the same thing in New York State. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, and there's actually there's a whole study that was put forth on the CDC website about this, and they call them green zones. Yeah, you can pull that up. It basically outlines a plan to section off areas of the country and relocate people who are sick. That's on the CDC website.
What the heck?
That's crazy. Why would you put sick people together and put people there? Why would you put people that you think might be sick all together to make them more sick? Strip
It's
them
like
of their
4
nutrients?
or 5 pages. It's well thought out. They're talking about if the person who gets sent away can't care for themselves, then somebody has to go with them. So, if you have like an elderly parent who's getting sent away, you're up for the camp as well.
Oh my gosh.
What's this called exactly?
Whoa.
What was this called?
This was on the CDC website.
I think I may have found it. Let me see if
I think they refer to them as green zones.
I will also point out on the CDC website, it specifically says there's no evidence of COVID existing in the food supply. I looked at it up today.
But another
this
thing you
just-
have to realize is that the CDC, the World Health Organization, they keep contradicting themselves nonstop, 24/7. They told us that there was no human-to-human transmission, no transmission through air. They flip-flop on the mask. They flip out on so many things. It's very hard to understand what they're saying. Now, another thing to really consider here, and it's kind of worrisome, especially the news in Germany, because they're really pushing this forward. But one of the things that they say is that this is going to be specifically for rule breakers. What rules are we talking about?
me.
These are very generalized language. And when it comes to the government's response to COVID, a lot of the rules are arbitrary. A lot of them are made up. A lot of them have shown to have no actual effect on stopping the sickness. The lockdowns have been found in some instances to actually hurt more people than help people.
I gotta tell you, man. For the people listening, just Google search a picture of Murphy, Governor Murphy of New Jersey, and I can tell you.
Shield your eyes.
Here's what I think. I'm gonna give you my opinion on this. Okay, you got this guy Ian Smith. How tall are you?
6 foot.
6 foot, and you're pretty ripped, man. You work out, you run a gym,
Once in a while.
And you
yeah.
got a
and you got this
sweet beard,
big beard, and you got the slick back hair.
I think it's personal. Is
Governor
that what
Murphy,
you're getting at?
Governor Murphy
Oh my gosh.
saw you,
He's right.
and you're like this dude, this gym, and he went.
I want that.
Yeah.
No. When the cop sided with you, I bet it was personal. I bet he thought about himself and being a whiny loser, and then here's this successful guy. He's running
He
a
probably
gym.
couldn't get it up that night. That's
Yeah,
probably what this is all
the issue.
about.
Yeah, I can see it.
No, but I,
TMI.
outside of trying to poke a dig at him for being like a nerdy guy, I really do think he was personally insulted. How dare you challenge my power?
The thing is, he's been governor since January 2018, and he's got massive amounts of power.
Yeah.
Way too much for one person.
Yep.
Well, let's
He came in the door like that, like just overstepping almost right away.
Let's think about this, okay? When I heard the story of the cop who came up when you were mentioning, he said you're all in violation of executive order. That being said, have a nice day. I'm sure he got so mad, like, how dare you? I'm the governor. You obey me. And so he made that call, threatening to furlough an entire department unless they bend to his whim. Talk about a lunatic. But think about that level of depravity. I pulled up what you talked about. This is really interesting. I have cdc.gov right here, and they say, interim operational considerations for implementing the shielding approach to prevent COVID-19 infections in humanitarian settings. Well, hold on, guys. Shielding. That sounds pretty good, right? Shielding.
That sounds good.
What does shielding mean? They say, let's see what they say. Current evidence indicates that older adults and people of any age who have serious underlying medical conditions are at higher risk for severe illness. In most humanitarian settings, older population groups make up a small percentage of the total population. For this reason, the shielding approach suggests physically separating high-risk individuals from the general population to prioritize the use of the limited available resources and avoid implementing long-term containment measures among the general population. Let me break that down. They're saying we'll take the people who could get sick and we'll remove them from urban areas and population centers because we don't want to inconvenience the general population. Now hold on. I did say protect the vulnerable, allow the everyone to work. I just don't like the idea of physically removing people from areas. I'm
Splitting
talking
up families.
I'm talking about just like having a building where it's like a sign on the door saying at risk for COVID, and then having special precautions like you put the package down, they clean it before bringing it in, not taking the people
Simple,
out of the
practical
building.
stuff.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could put like a symbol on their door. Yeah, that's something that hasn't been tried in Nazi Germany.
Well, yeah, but okay. So
What
to be
about
fair,
armbands?
If you were to put
Yeah,
if you were
something
to
like
put,
that.
Ian, if you were to put a sign on someone's door that said this person is at risk of developing COVID, please be extra careful. I don't think that's anywhere
And you could put a
near
little
being
Star
on the
David
same
with the
level.
smiley face next to it.
No, I don't think it's
Jeez,
even
dude.
close.
I think
to
it's
being the
disgusting.
same
I think
thing.
if you're going to single people out for an invisible disease virus that we think is out there, and then stuff them in concentration camps, that we're looking at 21st century genocide. We're looking at World War III, and we're declaring it on ourselves.
Have you guys seen that movie Songbird? Have you heard about it?
Is that
the Michael Bay one where it's like 2024 and COVID-23 is like mutated and everyone's locked down? It's an interesting movie because the government's the bad guy in it.
But that's the premise of the movie, is that there's these green zones that
Q zones.
Q zones. Okay, so
zones.
they cleverly renamed it from the CDC website.
Exactly.
I think that's like the plot of it right there.
Check this out. So, I just pulled up the New York State Senate Assembly Bill A416. Now, first, let me just say, it's only in committee. The bill was introduced. It is in committee. It's not on the floor calendar. It has not passed the Senate or the Assembly, has not gone to the governor, and has not been signed. This might just fizzle out and die. But this bill basically says, and look, it pertains to the removal and detention of cases, contacts, and carriers who are or may be a danger to public health. Other orders. Provisions of the section shall be utilized in the event that the governor declares a state of health emergency due to an epidemic of any communicable disease. Any. But here's my favorite part. Let's say
It's very broad language.
it says cases or contacts that may be a danger. That's what you got to read into. What's a contact that may be a danger? Simple. Let's say you get an Amazon delivery, a box on your doorstep. You pick it up, you open it, and there's a Sonic bread knife. Yeah. And you press the button, and you cut through the bread. We're getting one of those, by the way. So we
like
can
a
slice bread.
vibro blade.
So let's say that you get one of those carving knives, Then someone shows up at your door, and it's Lil Cuomo, and he's like, you were in contact with a box from someone who is sick. Therefore, you may be a danger, and they'll detain you.
What about the mailman? Mail gets
Yep.
COVID. Everyone on the mail route now.
Well, the thing you got to understand here is that the language here is very generalized,
On
and there's going to
purpose.
be it's done like that many times because the government could then look at this little piece of paper and say, well, we could interpret this any which way we want, and probably because of some privacy or HIPAA laws, you won't even know if it's the mailman or if it's somebody else. It'll be kept away from you, and the thing that's really kind of scary
Scary
here
thought, actually.
is that everything about COVID COVID has been almost political, whether it's the alcohol stores, the gambling, the Walmarts, Costco, BLM protests, the lockdowns, the selective, politicking of this entire scenario. We have seen it bastardized and used and abused for political power to the highest extent. What makes you think that this higher authority that this government is demanding from you, that it won't corrupt them to use it and abuse it against
Wait.
other political enemies?
I figured it out. Ian, why don't you just, while everyone's working out, chant, hey, ho, ho, racism has got to go. Put up a Black Lives Matter banner. They won't touch it.
We thought about that. We thought about we thought about just smashing our own windows in, and you would just run in and pick up some dumbbells and then run out with them.
That'd be great.
And that was your workout. You were just moving things.
No, but I mean, like, what would happen if you actually just invited some activists down? I mean, here's the interesting thing. Look, they don't like cops, right? And the cops are the ones shutting you down. What if you just said, hey, Black Lives Matter, do you want to have an event here?
Black Lives Matter got very upset with me because the local Black Lives Matter in the Philadelphia, South Jersey area contacted me and told me that I needed to put a black square on my profile. Because
Wait, what?
Yeah. I was contacted by more than one person saying, you need to do this because you have a voice and we supported you opening. And I said, and that was during the whole George Floyd thing. And I said, I don't know enough about this situation to do that. And I'm going to use my platform, because that was when my platform started growing. Once we reopened, I went on Tucker Carlson. I started to grow, on social media, and then it was expected of me to do that.
I hate it when people do.
So if I invited them, I don't think they would come on good
No,
terms.
you know what? I mean, I can't blame you, because if someone comes to me and says, do this, you have to.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Even if
Right,
they're
right.
like, if someone
But-
does something for you and then they expect something of you,
No.
it's so obnoxious.
Right, but you know what I would say? The saying is, there's no, there is no in business. If someone comes to me and says, I want you to do this, I say, okay, here are my terms. So if someone came to me and said, Black Lives Matter, we want your profile to be, a black square, I'd be like, sounds good to me. Will you guys show up? We'll make a big thing of it. Like, you'll come down to my gym, we'll open up, you guys will protest, and then I'll pull out my phone and I'll do it, and we'll high five. How does that sound? But what are the cops? The cops will be, then your gym's open. You know what I mean? And then, I return. Okay, you got it. You know what I mean? Come down, you support us, protest the cops. But I guess, especially at the time, you guys were trying to be respectful to the police.
Yeah,
during the George Floyd stuff. So.
I'm sorry I had a fight with the governor to attend to. I didn't really have time for being everybody's advocate. I was trying to be an advocate for small business.
Yeah.
And myself and my family, and that was apparently unacceptable.
I don't know if you've seen the Boogaloo Boys stuff, like the Boogaloo Boys. They're out and they're with Black Lives Matter. Like, there's Black Lives Matter person standing next to a guy with the Hawaiian shirt on or whatever.
Which is a change of tone for the Boogaloo Boys.
Well,
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No, not the Boogaloo. So there's a video from months ago where the Boogaloo Boys, wearing their Hawaiian shirts and tactical vests and guns, are marching around with Black Lives Matter. And then Antifa, this is crazy video. There's Antifa on the left, Boogaloo Boys on the right. And the Antifa guy shakes the hand of the Boogaloo boy and says, I know we don't agree, but you stood with us today, and for that we respect you. And the Boogaloo boy says, we agree with you, man. We agree with you completely. We don't like the government, so I think that's where we can start. And they're together.
Which makes no sense, though, because, I mean, BLM and Antifa go running to the left, and they eat out of the hands of Kamala Harris and the politicians on the left who pander to them.
And the Boogaloo Boys do not go to the right. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., so come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.